Hello, everybody, and welcome to another marvelous ramble. This time, I decided to tackle something a little bit more popular, a little bit more relevant than, say, some of the last things I've done. And I wanted to talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield, the very polarizing set of games that were released a little over a year ago, November of last year. And now that the game has been out, and both the Isle of Armor and Crown of Tundra expansions have been released, and pretty much I think most Pokemon players will have played them by now. I think it's time to sort of give my thoughts on this game. But before that, I think I have to acknowledge some of the unnecessary discourse that's happened with this game. I don't follow a lot of Pokemon related content. Like, I like the game, but I generally don't listen to people in the community. But when I decided to peek into the community in preparation for Sword and Shield, I was mostly appalled. Because instead of constructive criticism, instead of things of like actual valid points, all I saw were unyielding complaints and expectations that were never going to be met. So this video is kind of a response to that. The overwhelming negativity. Now, I still have problems with this game, and I'll get into those as we go further into the video. But I just feel that the discourse of this game got way overblown, way too fast. This is Pokemon, after all. This is a game that's supposed to bring us together, and I feel like so many people lost that message along the way. Maybe that's me being naive thinking about it. Maybe that's me wishing for something that doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe I'm fighting up against clickbait YouTubers who just want people to click on their channel because they said something outrageous about the new Pokemon game, hoping to entice people. Maybe I'm foolish for saying that this is a response to that. I don't know, but that's what I feel like. So, I'll start with this in that I liked these games. I really liked Pokemon Sword and Shield. I pretty much like every single Pokemon game that I've played, and now I can officially say I've played every single generation in one form or another. And while some games definitely offer more than others, and some may have questionable decisions, I don't think there's such thing as a bad mainstream Pokemon game. Maybe a game that doesn't meet your lofty expectations, and that's perfectly fine in some cases. But sometimes I feel like the expectation idea is blown out of the water. But in terms of this new region, in terms of the Galar region, I really enjoyed it. And I'll tell you what the first thing I really enjoyed about. What I enjoyed, namely, was the wild area. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. When I saw trailers for that, I was astounded. Like, wow, we have a whole section of the game just dedicated to this open space where Pokemon are roaming everywhere. It's the most beautiful thing ever. At least to me it is. Just like minor nitpicks. I would like to see them doing like natural things like eating, or maybe like I don't know, something more natural than just kind of like walking around. But it's a start. It's something. And some could argue that maybe it should have been a little bit more effort put in that. That can be argued, but I'm not going to argue that. But I still, every time I boot this game up, every time I go to the wild area, or I go to the Isle of Armor, or I go to the Crown Tundra, and I just love to walk around and just see them pop up and just see them like look at me, and just, it's the best feeling. Because as a kid, that's what I saw when I played Pokemon Silver, because I think Silver was the first one I remember beating. I don't remember beating original Red or Blue, but I remember. But like, that's what I saw. That's what we all saw as kids. Like this kind of area that's open. We weren't thinking about it in terms of game design because we were stupid kids. We didn't know any better. And here it's like realized, like when you first step into the wild area, I equate it to stepping out of the forest in Ocarina of Time, or in Breath of the Wild when you step out of the cavern and you see the Great Plateau and you see how big this world is. Like, wow, it's breathtaking. In all honesty, and then of course you see the Pokemon flying around, and it's even better when you get to the Isle of Armor and you get to the Crown of Tundra. And Crown of Tundra to me is the crowning achievement of this game, because of how it combines lore and how it combines. And I just think its setting is a lot more fun to explore. It feels more natural to me. Like it felt like a dream come true. And I understand visually it's not the best looking game. It doesn't look that great. It looks like a PS2 game in 2019. And yeah, that it doesn't look that great, but to me I'm not bothered by it. I love how it looks. I love how just everything. To me, its pervasive art style, it being like this giant safari for Pokemon, just fits perfectly. Do I wish things looked a little bit better? Yeah. Do I wish some of the trees didn't kind of like fade out when you looked at them the wrong way? Yeah, absolutely. I wish some of those things would get fixed. But judging from the product that's final, I was impressed, man. And the changing weather patterns, getting new Pokemon, even though it's a confined area, I always felt like I was finding something new. Like all of a sudden, oh my god, there's a wild Jumbo. I think that's a Gen 7 Pokemon from the Galar region. Like just seeing it walk around, like just seeing these, like seeing a Steelix just hovering there. Like that's insane to me. But obviously the wild area isn't the only thing that kind of impressed me in this game. Now, Pokemon isn't exactly known for its single player adventure in terms of its story. It's never really had like a gripping narrative. You could argue Generation 3, with the whole environmentalist thing. You could argue the Gen 4. I personally think Gen 4 is the most epic just because it involves like different realities and stuff. But Pokemon's usually about you go to town, get the gyms, maybe there's a team in your way, and you stop them. There's never really been anything like that's world-threatening in Pokemon. Like maybe Gen 6 Pokemon X and Y was the closest it got to it. But at the end of the day, it didn't really feel like it, though. But what? Now, you may be asking yourself, why does Sword and Shield differ to you? Why is this my favorite? And I'll tell you one word. And it's something I've been wanting since I saw the Pokemon anime. And that's the gyms. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in a home where I grew up in Texas. I still live in Texas. And football is king here. Sports are king. And while my love of sports has definitely dwindled over the years, one thing that will never leave me in terms of sports is the spectating of it. The sheer size of a crowd that's cheering on something or cheering against someone. And watching the Pokemon anime, you got that experience somehow. You saw an arena, a stadium full of people cheering against or for these trainers who are trying to make it and become the champion of that respective region. And I thought that was so cool. And it never bothered me as a kid, but I always wished that as playing, when it's more especially not necessarily the main gyms, but more so the Elite Four, I always wish that, man, I wish this was like a stadium setting where you could see people in the stands and they can cheer for you and it's a big arena. I always wanted that. And to see it realized, granted, there's no Elite Four in this game, but when you go into a gym and you fight the gym leader and it's in this huge stadium and you hear the crowd chanting along, it's obviously because this is based on the UK, very inspired by football matches, European football rather, not what we Americans call ham egg. I just to me that was the best part of the game to me, was going into these gyms and just absolutely the music was so good and the crowd starts chanting. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. You know, and like the camera just, it gives you that spectator feeling that was never there before. And I know Pokemon doesn't really keep features from game to game, but if there's one feature I want them to keep in whatever the next game is going to be, which hopefully is a long ways away, I want it to retain this in some fashion. Maybe not the Dynamax Pokemon aspect of it, but I want them to keep the tournament. I want them to keep, or like this huge, it's a spectator thing. I want them to keep that. So those are sort of the big things that kind of impressed me. But man, I'll tell you, as an adult, there's so many quality of life things in this game that I hope they never leave Pokemon. I'm 30 years old. I don't have the time to raise a team. That's not even for competitive purposes. Just to play the game. So having EXP share on, which I understand, I believe that's for Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. I didn't play those games, so I have no context for them. But having it mandatory in this game is, I know some people were like, "No, I want my, hard Pokemon. I want to." I'm like, I don't care. I'm 30. I have things to do. I can't be wasting time grinding a team or trying to, if I'm going to complete the Pokédex, which I may or may not be doing. I don't have time to raise like one Pokemon. I could just stick it on my team, fight a high level, and let it gain levels and go from there. It's, to me, that's a great feeling. And then also being able to remember any Pokemon's move whenever they like just without using like a having to farm for a particular item is amazing. I can't tell you how amazing enough that is. The ability to, okay, well, I'll stick with this for now, but if I don't like it, I can always go back to a Pokemon Center and then just change it like that. It's so godlike. It's perfect. Because it allows me to experiment more with moves and not treat moves as like, well, I'll just stick with this because I know this works. I'm not going to try this because this might be risky. It allows me fluctuality in my teams, and while that doesn't necessarily completely apply to a single player game where you can easily just overpower the enemy with either levels or correct weapon weakness, or type weakness, I still love that it was there. I think it was a long overdue feature. And I'll tell you the last thing that really made me love this game, at least in terms of the base game, and that is the ability to not have to go to a Pokemon Center and to have access to your boxes. You have access to your boxes no matter what. That's amazing. Do you understand? I feel like I'm going crazy because I don't hear anybody talking about that. That to me is the biggest game changer of this game. I said game changer. That's wrong, but it's true though. Like, I could be just traveling and well, I kind of want to raise this Pokemon now, and I want to, or let's switch it out. Or immediately when you catch a Pokemon, you can just add it to your team right then and there. You don't have to. I think you could do that in other games, but the idea that, okay, maybe I'll add it now, but I can just, if I don't have to fly back to a Pokemon Center to get it. I think that's so fantastic. It's just right there. The answer's always been right there, and God, I'm so glad Game Freak, did it. I'm really glad they did it. The story is okay. It's not great. It's underutilized. It's not the best. I found it serviceable. I found even the post game kind of fun. But in terms of problems, I don't really have a lot of problems. Again, graphically it could be better. If anything, the online functionality I think is the worst part of this game. If you try to play online, and I didn't do it for this video just because the frame rate was so bad. The frame rate goes to crap when you try to play online. Trading feels really convoluted. Battling with random trainers just doesn't feel as fun as they thought it would in terms of the Dynamax raids. And I guess leading to that, I'm not the biggest fan of Dynamax raid Pokemon. After I beat the main story, I didn't really go back to the game because I thought, well, that's it. I guess I'll just do Dynamax raiding, and I think I did it once, and I got very bored. I still kind of get bored by doing them. I don't think they're that fun. Maybe they're fun with friends, but that's kind of a cop-out answer in my opinion. I just think they're uninteresting, and to kind of double down on it, I really don't like that they locked away like special form, like I think they're called Gigantamax forms, behind like you have to get them in this basically raid battle. When before, like in Gen 6, where you had the Mega Stones, or like you had the different Alola forms in Gen 7, you know, there was something like I think the Z moves, like you had access to a different move. I liked that idea of like getting this different variation, and to me, I think I would have enjoyed Dynamaxing more if, say, you got a Pokemon and it just Dynamaxes into that form, into like I think Butterfree has like brightly colored wings and stuff like that, or like there's good variations. Like I think like Snorlax has like a big thing on its stomach, like a little society growing on its stomach or something like that. But to just lock them away behind raids just feel kind of lazy, because then you're kind of catching the same Pokemon twice for not only a physical change as you can only see in this specific type of battle environment. It just didn't feel right, you know? Like it just it should have been like you have to find a specific thing, because not all Pokemon have Gigantamax forms. So to me it should have been to me I would have rather had like you find like an item and you equip them and it can Dynamax to that form. You can Dynamax and you get a new form. Which I think would have been much more inclusive. And you know, you put rare Pokemon that you can't catch them while in the raid stuff, which is true. But just to round it off with some positivity, I was kind of doubting my opinions on this game. If I had recorded this before the Isle of Armor and before Crown of Tundra, I probably would have had a different opinion where I thought the game was only okay. But what kind of salvaged this game for me was both the 2 DLC expansions. And thank goodness they did it this way and not some, you know, third game, which I think a lot of people were fearing. Just having more wild area to explore, and being able to let your Pokemon follow you around is such a blessing. It's everybody's been wanting that since Generation 2. I think it's been gone since then in terms of like mainline Pokemon games. Again, I know Let's Go and Pikachu and Eevee had that feature, but this is different. Like, and more so for the Crown of Tundra, just because I love legendary Pokemon and I love how they tie to the lore in in a particular setting, and they do such a great job with incorporating some of the main legendaries into this game. It's really amazing. Okay, Pokemon Sword and Shield. It is a game that has many flaws, that has pacing problems, that has form problems, that has online problems. But at the end of the day, while those problems do exist, they did not detract from my enjoyment. I felt like every time I boot up this game, whether it's to catch a couple Pokemon, train up something, or to do something in an in-game event, I feel like a kid again. I feel like I just want to explore the outdoors and catch this weird thing I'd never seen before. And also, I really like the new Pokemon designs. I think they're some of my favorite. They're so cool. They're so feel unique to that region. More so than, say, Alola's Pokemon or even Kalos's Pokemon, in all honesty. Like, I feel like these Pokemon have a lot better personality suited to their region. But I think that's where I'm going to call it right here, guys. I'm curious. Let me know what are your thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield. Did you not like the game? Did your mind change with the Isle of Armor and Crown of Tundra story DLC expansions? Do you think Pokemon should do more DLC expansions for this game, or should they just stop and continue ironing out the next game, whatever region it may be? Who knows? Hopefully it won't be for a while. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. And as always, no matter what, stay marvelous. Have a good night, everybody.